Hello everyone, welcome back to the Devlog series for my game project. This is Devlog number 3. Since the last Devlog, I've made a lot of progress towards the game that I'm excited to share with you. So the first thing that I've worked on since the last Devlog was an improvement to the player character. I made the player a little bigger and made the color stand out a little bit more. I personally think this player is a little bit better, but you guys can let me know what you think. So the main thing that I worked on this week was a trading and weapon system. Now originally I was going to make a house that the player could walk inside and pick from a range of weapons. And I actually got pretty far with the code regarding this house, but something didn't feel right about the whole house system. So instead I made this trader character, and after quite a lot of coding I got the shop system up and running. Now the code behind the system is pretty complex, but I'll do my best to explain it for you guys. So basically, we have this trader in the world, and we are checking in the game's main loop if the player gets close to this trader. And if the player collides with this trader, we bring up this trading screen. And on this screen, we're given 3 options with supplies we can buy, with the prices underneath. So basically, we have a multi-dimensional array with all the data for all of these weapons, and then we just randomly pick 3 elements of this array and use the data from those lists to display the weapon's icon and also how much the item will cost. Then we can use the arrow keys to navigate through the different items, and when we choose one by hitting enter, the trader will disappear and the item will appear on the ground. And when you run over the item, it picks it up. So now that sounds pretty basic, but it actually took quite long to set up and get working. So now that I had this trading system, the next logical thing to do was to add some items. So first, I made a pistol, which will be your starting weapon when you start the game. I also added a shotgun, which is fairly unique because it shoots 3 bullets at a time, which is pretty cool. Then I added a sniper, which does a lot of damage but has a long cooldown to balance it out. And finally, I added a med kit type thing, because without it, the game was just way too hard, and the medkit definitely balanced it out and made it easier. Now, adding all these items really didn't take long because of the modular system I had in place. Making a new weapon or item was as simple as giving the weapon a name and filling out stats like how much cooldown it has and also how much damage. So originally I was gonna have the trader appear after you kill all the enemies in a level, but I later decided on giving the trader a designated level. Speaking of levels, in the last episode of the series, I said that I would add a transition between levels. Therefore, I made a portal, which you can see here. The portal is very simple. It just checks if the number of kills that the player has is equal to the number of kills needed to clear the room. And if that condition is met and the player collides with the portal, then the player will be transported to the next level. So here you can see everything that I've described so far in action. First, I just quickly can clear this room. And it prompts me saying that I need to find the portal to continue, which is pretty easy because the rooms are pretty small. And when I walk through the portal, it will take me to the next level, which in this case is a trader level. So here we can see this trader, and I can choose a trade and it will drop on the ground, and then I can pick it up, it will be added to my inventory, and I can continue the journey. So before we continue, I need to talk about this game, finishing this game, because when I started this devlog, I said the game project would take 3 to 4 weeks to complete, and it's been a little more than 4 weeks now. I'm working really hard to get this game finished up. I've put quite a lot of time into setting up the game's itch.io store page, which begged the question, what is the game's name? So I asked on Twitter what you guys think the game should be called, and I didn't end up using any of the suggestions, but I did take inspiration from them and eventually landed on Gun Dash. Probably not the most creative name in the world, but I'm happy with it. Here's a sneak peek at the store page so far. I'm really happy with how it's coming on. So yeah, the next video on this channel will probably be a trailer for the game, or maybe a final devlog, but I'm not so sure. Most of the work I'll be doing from here on out on the game will be bug fixing and polishing. And yeah, basically just getting ready for the game's release. Anyway, the next thing I worked on was sound effects and music. Now, music design is not really my strong point, and originally I was going to do the music in a program called Bosca Sea Oil, but after doing some experiments, I realized that I had very little experience in music design, and the song was horrible. So instead, I cheated a little bit and downloaded this app on my phone called GroovePad, which has a bunch of pre-recorded sounds, and then all I had to do was press a few buttons and combine the sounds in a cool order to make a song. And within a couple of minutes, I had 2 soundtracks for the game. One for the menu and one for the game itself. The next thing I had to deal with was sound effects, and for that I used a program called BFXR, which generates sound effects, and I also used my microphone and a free program called Audacity to make some of the sound effects using my voice. Now, the sound effects and music really make the game feel a lot better to play, and here you can see some gameplay with the sound effects and music. Now, you probably noticed in that clip that there were also some screen shake, which makes playing the game feel a lot more satisfying. And in case you're wondering how I did the screen shake, I'm not going to explain it here, but I will link the tutorial that I used down in the description. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I also made a song for the main menu, which isn't much help because currently there is no main menu. So I got to work making this simple, minimalistic main menu. Currently it only has 2 buttons, one to play the game and one to turn off the sounds and music. And when you hit play, it doesn't take you straight into the game. It first takes you to this tutorial level. And tutorials are something that I really hate in games, especially when the game freezes and some character starts explaining how to play. However, one tutorial that I don't mind is the tutorial in Danny's game Carlson, which basically the tutorial is its own level, and there is floating text that explain how things work. And I figured that having a tutorial as its own level wouldn't really work in my game, but the floating text would. So I spent some time coding the different floating text, and I really like this because if you know how to play the game, you can just sprint to the end of the level and jump through the portal to begin the actual game. But if you don't know how to play, you can follow along at your own pace with the tutorial. Speaking of levels, the game currently doesn't have that many. For the release of Gundash, I plan on having about 10 levels and then probably adding more as time goes on. So far there are 6 maps, and I'm not going to show you all of them because I want you to explore some of them when the game comes out. So yeah guys, that is currently the state of the game. If you want to stay notified for when I release the game's trailer, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. We're getting very close to 50 subscribers, so it would be great if we could reach that. Also, please consider following me on Twitter for more game-related updates. Leave any suggestions that you have in the comments, and I'll see you all next time.